G'day guys, it's Friday afternoon here in Melbourne and it is friggin' cold, absolutely freezing here. And you know it's footy season, but we get to play the game under the roof. Round 8 action. This is the preview on My Blue Heaven. Carlton v Adelaide under the roof at Marvel Stadium. Last game of round 8, 4:40pm, Sunday, Mother's Day action. Similar time slot this one to when we played the Crows last year at Docklands with a 10-point win, and we all remember that game. I suppose a little bit of us in that miserable year, which was 2021 under David Teague. We did have that 8-goal blitz after the Crows led early in the second quarter, and we opened up a fairly big lead in that game, and then the Crows just pegged us back. And we got the job done by 10 points in that game. I know. It just feels like, I don't know, it showed us what this group of individuals, when they were switched on, were capable of doing. It's sort of a similar scenario to some of the games that we've played this year. We've had one exceptional quarter. We've just piled on the goals. And then we just hung on. We've lost momentum. But I think, from a positive against weak opposition last week against North Melbourne, we're able to, I think, put a pretty solid four-quarter performance together. And I suppose that is the theme going into this week. Can we replicate that against the Adelaide Crows, who go up a little bit in class compared to North Melbourne? 6th versus 12th. Adelaide are 3 and 4. They've been okay. Us 5 and 2, and we've been good. But there's plenty of room for improvement. The Crows' 3 wins are interesting because they're against the same sides that we've won, and by similar margins as well. They beat Port in the showdown. It was an absolute classic, that one. They got the chocolates. They beat Richmond at the Adelaide Oval comfortably in the end. And they just got over the line against the Western Bulldogs, and that was a terrific win at Marvel Stadium. So they're no strangers. To Marvel Stadium this year. This will be the 3rd time that they've played at Docklands. Their losses: Fremantle by 1 point in round 1 at the Adelaide Oval, Collingwood by 42 at the MCG in round 2. I mentioned that other game at Marvel Stadium. Essendon got them by 4 points at Marvel, and the Giants, in somewhat of an upset, smashed them like they did last year at the Adelaide Oval by 59 points, and that is a spanking, absolute spanking. And Matthew Nicks wielded the axe after that. So selection is really interesting. The Crows without Rory Sloane, disappointing for him. He's a warrior and their captain, and he's out with that ACL. And he's been out for a period of time now, but they've dropped Matt Crouch. They've obviously got their reasons, and he collected 24 touches and 5 clearances against the Giants last week. And it's the first time he's gone under 25 in a game this season. And they've also lost through injury, who I really rate is Brody Smith, so he won't play as well. So from that respect, no Sloane, no Matt Crouch, and they haven't really brought anyone in of much note, not that we know of. I don't know whether that makes them weaker or a little bit more unpredictable and quite dangerous. Us at the selection table, we lost Stocker through injury mostly, with that shoulder injury, but he's also suspended. We bring back Zach Williams after a week out, and no George Hewitt for a second week running. They want to get him ready for the following round. Big interchange. Got 8 on the pine. We won't know until later on this afternoon who that will be. So Matthew Cottrell, Jesse Motlop, good to see him there. Paddy Dow, Jordan Boyd, Nick Newman, Matthew Kennedy, Matt Owies, and Jack Silvani. Just looking at that, you would suggest it's going to be Nick Newman, Matthew Kennedy, Matthew Owies, and Jack Silvani. Interesting one there from my point of view is Owies is on the pine, whereas Durden, who I thought I thought his defensive pressure was really good last week, Durden, but Owies hit the scoreboard with 2 goals. Durden starts on the ground. Good to see Lockie O'Brien get another opportunity to see if he can build on what he produced last week. Thought he was really good with his ball use. Gets another opportunity against a team which is a little bit better than North Melbourne. And it's going to really be a good opportunity. I reckon he might start on young Shoal, who did a number on us a few years back. A game in which Lockie O'Brien came in. It was late in 2020 at Metricon Stadium, and the Crows smashed us, absolutely smashed us in a huge upset. And Lockie O'Brien played his one and only game that year, and he was overweight, and Shoal tore us a new one. His old man, Shoal's old man, actually played football for Carlton. So that's going to be a really good matchup on the wing. I can't look. I know. I mentioned that Adelaide, given a 59-point smashing at the hands of the Giants, they will be, I suppose, seething. And given that they've lost, I mean, no Shoal. I mean, that's huge. I mean, not Shoal. No Rory Sloane. You look at our midfield and the strength of that, and the fact that we have our skipper in there, and even without George Hewitt, now Matt Crouch. So, I don't know. I just can't really see how the Crows can really worry us, to be perfectly honest. Unless we're drinking our own bathwater. And I don't think we are. I really don't. I don't think we're in a position at the moment, and it's a really, I suppose, we're not in a precarious position at the moment, but if you look at our percentage, and I know internally the club will not be talking about percentages. They will not be talking about percentages. They'll be talking about what they need to do, okay, to win this game of football. But we, as fans, we look at that percentage, and we also look at the teams outside of the 8 who might be able to come in. I fully expect Geelong to get on a run and really push inside that top 8 at some stage. So I'm not worried about our position in the 8th. It's just that we need to keep winning, and this is such a winnable game for us, because we have to then get on the road. And that's been a bit of a problem this year when we've had to travel. I'm actually loving the fact that this game is at Marvel Stadium, a ground where we've actually started to play reasonably good football as well. So I'm glad it's at home rather than the Adelaide Oval. But I just can't see, when you look at that midfield, and I know Ben Keys will captain the Crows this week, and he's been a terrific player for them after really struggling at the Brisbane Lions as a real fringe player. And he's come across, and he's a real hard nut, a real hard nut. And he's got a bit of class and a bit of skill about him as well. And I really rate Rory Laird as well. He's just a ball magnet. He always wins a heap of the pill. He's just a very, very good footballer. Young Sam Berry, and they've got a real goer in the ruck as well with Riley O'Brien. But what is there really when you compare it to what we're going to dish out on the weekend, even without George Hewitt? I mean, the numbers we're rolling through there at the moment is quite extraordinary. And even this weekend with Sam Welsh, Chera, Fisher, I'm looking forward to what Fisher can do after a pretty good game last week on the outside. Cripps, Matthew Kennedy, and even, I mean, who knows, maybe Paddy Dow comes in. He is named on the interchange bench. We're just going to have to wait and see. And good to see as well Jack Carroll get another opportunity as well, starting on the ground. And it's always, I think it would be always difficult after playing such a really good debut, then to butter up a second week in a row. I'm actually predicting that he mightn't, I don't want this to happen, he mightn't have a great game this weekend. The Crows do have some genuine firepower in their front half, which could cause some concerns, given that I thought that was a real weakness other than Larkey last week. He was the only real threat for North Melbourne. They've got a number of threats. So if somehow they can get some control through Riley O'Brien in the ruck up against TDK, if somehow that midfielders theirs can break even and generate some inside 50s, they do have some weapons. Taylor Walker's in terrific form. Himmelberg's, he's a handful. He's big. He moves well for his size, and they've got some real sort of medium-sized class. Shane McAdam, who could have been a blue bagger, really rate him. And Josh Rachele as well has been a shining light first-year player and very dangerous as well. So all those medium-sized defenders for us who had reasonable games last week, they're going to have to probably defend harder than what they did last week. And that at times this year has been a bit of a concern for us. Young will probably get Himmelberg, leaves Wiedering for the big job on Taylor Walker, who probably is still the spiritual leader of that football club. Defensively, they've got just some young players. I really rate Duday. Jordan Butts is an emerging key defender at full back, but they're going to have their work cut out with Charlie and Harry. And Harry, by all reports, has had some concerns in regards to some health issues this week, but he's expected to play. I'm looking for that next group, though, forward. Okay, and I talk the likes of Owies, Durden, Silvani when he's down there, and also Matt Owies, Jack Martin, to really hit the scoreboard this weekend and really cash in. Because I think their mediums down back are similar to ours. They're a little bit hit and miss in that regard. Chase Jones, Will Hamill, Luke Brown. I mean, Jordan Dawson is the one who can get off the chain as that running half back, and we know how well he can use the ball. I suppose the biggest takeaway for me this weekend will be, because we know what we're going to get. We know what we're going to get from the usual suspects. We know we're going to get your 25 plus 30 possessions from all our midfielders. We know Doc's going to win a lot of the ball across half back. We probably know that Harry and Charlie are going to get out on the end of a few, but I'm looking for that next layer of player. I'm looking for what Plowman can produce after a reasonable game last week. Is Lockie O'Brien able to produce after a reasonable game last week? Jack Carroll, I know he's young. Nunes, Durden, all of these blokes who are essentially on that next level, who had reasonable performances last week. That's what I'm most looking forward to. Plus, I'm also looking forward to a four-quarter performance on Sunday afternoon against the Adelaide Crows. I'm actually predicting a pretty comfortable win by our football team to go 7-2 and to cement ourselves inside the top 8. Tell me what you think. Catch you soon.